Connected Consumer.
Hi, I'm Rosey Sera, and I'm one of the hosts of Parks Associates podcast, The Connected Consumer. If you're new here, welcome. This podcast is all about Parks Associates' data-driven market insights on emerging consumer tech, featuring our talented analyst team and industry leaders. In today's episode, we're giving you some quick insights from our CEDIA Expo attendance this year. So for those of you that may not know, CEDIA Expo is the platform where residential technology integrators, designers, and construction professionals connect, learn, and engage. CEDIA Expo brings together thousands of home tech pros and hundreds of exhibitors to the leading event for smart home technology. So this event took place in Dallas, Texas on September 29th through October 1st. So we're giving you some insights, and to kick things off, we're gonna bring in my wonderful co-host, Chris White. He is our Parks Associates co-host and most recently promoted. Shout out to Chris for becoming our newest research director. Hi, Chris.
Hi, thank you for having me. Um, it is very exciting that I'm a research director now and that I'm a guest on the podcast. That's exciting. This is my favorite podcast, so I'm excited to be on it as a guest.
Yay.
And sorry that I couldn't come join you in the studio today. I have to get ready to travel, but I am wearing my CEDIA polo that I got because I did
Nice.
get to present at CEDIA as a CEDIA educator. So they gave me official merch. So I feel very legit. I'm wearing my CEDIA instead of just wearing like my metaphorical CEDIA hat for this conversation. I'm literally wearing CEDIA gear.
Exactly.
That's
For
where I'm
those
at
of
right now.
you that are watching on YouTube, you
Hmm.
could place some comments on how cool Chris looks with his
Hmm.
polo.
Also,
Chris,
like if you think that it's uncool to wear the band's shirt to the concert, that's also a perfectly valid, I think, point of view. And I'm happy to hear that feedback as well.
I love it. Okay, Chris, you mentioned that you moderated a panel and you were the educator during, I think it was on the 29th, that you had the panel. It's called The Role of Energy Management in the Future Home. So tell us a little bit about, who you were talking with that were, part of the panel, some of the things that you covered, maybe some of your main takeaways.
Yes. So it was really exciting opportunity to get in front of integrators and try and kind of tell them what we've been seeing in the research for a while, which is that consumers are very interested in adding home energy management devices to their homes to help them manage energy costs and just basically give them more information about how they're using their energy.
Mhm.
And beyond that, we're also looking at energy generation as a potential rising category. We saw a substantial bump in purchase intention for solar panels for homes, and also a substantial bump in EV
Yeah.
purchase intention. And because CEDIA basically supports very high income individuals, our expectation was that everyone in that group who's getting an EV is going to want to charge it at home. Um, and that are going to have high end EVs and stuff like that. So they're not going to want to charge in the EV Go in the corner of the Walgreens parking lot, like
Mhm.
probably we're going to do, Rosie.
Yeah.
They're going to have chargers in their mansions. So I wanted to get in there and talk to them, have our panel basically explain how the suite of products that they offer make it possible for the high end category to do a lot of things at home in terms of what they can do to manage consumption and also like start to manage generation. So on my panel, I had Will Dillon from Savant, Vera Gavrilovich from Sonova, Karen Goff from Span, James Rosenberg from Blink Charging wasn't able to come because he's a Floridian and they were
Mm, the
struggling with the
hurricane.
hurricane. So he
Yeah.
couldn't come. So I was sad because I wanted to have someone actually from Charging come in. But we also had Wayne Morrison from Reliant, and Brad Wills from Schneider Electric. So we had a lot of people who make home energy management devices. They're in there, and we had a good conversation with the integrators about how they can add home energy products to their kind of toolbox, because that's what you want. Is someone's going to come in and they're going to do high end AV work on your mansion, Rosie. They're going to put beautiful custom lighting that's all hidden and speakers that go into your wall and all that stuff for your 128-inch television for your theater room. When they're busy doing all of those things, We also want them to add infrastructure to the electric panel that allows people to know how much energy all these different devices are using,
Mhm.
and also manage the EV charging for your Lucid Air and your 3,000 horsepower Lotus hypercar that you have parked outside that you charge while you're watching. I don't know
On the
what
giant
what do you like?
TV. Yeah.
Yeah, what are you watching on your giant TV, Rosie? What would you watch in your mansion on your giant TV?
What would I watch? I'm not really sure. Probably something on the top 10 of Netflix, but that's beside the point. Tell us a
You
little
just
bit.
take is that true? You just take, like you go on Netflix and they recommend things and you're like, "Hey, I'll try this out?"
Oh, yeah, totally.
Oh,
You
alright.
don't?
Okay. Um, so my top 10 recommend so my algorithm is a mess because my kids put stuff on there, so my recommendations are
Yeah.
all Octonauts related right now.
Yeah.
And while I do like learning about, the vampire squid because it has, like looks like a little cape of spikes that it holds up when it's scared, and it can see in the
Yeah.
dark, and its eyes glow because it lives in the midnight zone, which is a real name for a part of the ocean. All that sounds cool. My son says that we're gonna live in a haunted castle with a whole bunch of vampire,
I love it.
squids down at the bottom of the sea, so this is exciting. But, yeah, so I'll be watching Octonauts, I guess, on my giant TV while all that stuff is happening. I guess it would sound really, really good.
That would
So
be,
that'd be exciting for us.
yeah, nice, experience in the theater room with the giant TV. So, tell us a little
Mhm.
bit more about, some of the things that, took you by surprise or some main takeaways that, you weren't expecting, and yeah, just close things off with, any of the things that you'd want our audience to know.
So what I thought was interesting that I heard from the integrators in the audience, was that some of them had actually tried to get in the solar game or work with solar installers and had a tough time. I do think, based on my research into the solar and storage space, in advance of this industry report that we're going to be putting out next quarter,
Nice.
that's valid. The It's really difficult, I think, for the number of groups to work together to get a good solar installation consumer experience going. You have a salesperson, you have the installer, like in terms of the skilled person, and then you have to have an electrician, and everyone has to come kind of in proper sequence and get everything worked out so that things get set up the way that you want.
Mhm.
And I think it's really tough. We're basically putting 45, $50,000 investment. This is from like a middle class standpoint. These rich people maybe don't care. But for us, when we're putting
Huge,
50
yeah.
G's on our roof, it's a lot for us to project manage when it's tech we don't understand. And we're trying to work with all these different parties. So the integrators had described some problems. Also, some of them worked in areas where there was disasters. So they were like, I work primarily in Miami. We're literally having a hurricane right now. Am I going to put a bunch of solar panels up there and get destroyed? So it was great to have the Sonova representative Vera on there to talk to them about how that was going to work. But then also in terms of everyone's interest in the electrical panels, having Span and Savant and Schneider represented
Mhm.
covers basically all of the electrical panel expertise that you could possibly want. And so they could give the integrators all sorts of information there in terms of how they're going to want to start working with electricians, and getting panels set up to handle all this stuff, that they're going to be bringing in. Even if they're not putting solar and EV on there, just having a sophisticated electric panel is something that should be kind of part of the smart home experience in the future for people that have the means. And that's what the CD audience has. So that was really important.
Yeah, that's
Do you want me to
huge.
talk about what I liked on the floor, or am I going to talk to
Yeah,
other
oh my
people?
gosh, yes, please. Did you have a chance to walk through the show floor and see some new tech? Is anything exciting?
I did. So most of the time, my thinking was like, so I was, I'm joking about watching Octonauts, and you're watching Dahmer, I guess. Is that what they're pushing right now?
I these days, I think so, but
Yeah. So you're
anyway,
watching some sort of Dahmer documentary on a giant, giant screen, which is very creepy of you
terrifying.
to do that.
Yeah.
Um, I'm watching nice, wholesome children's programming at home. And that's all just like toys, and that's for fun. It's not anything that I like took very seriously. So I usually walk around shows that are on the high end side, like, okay, whatever. I guess this is fine for rich people to spend all their money on this stuff. This is not what I'm sort of aspiring to have. But then suddenly I was super impressed by the Hunter Douglas display. Hunter Douglas
Yeah.
makes, they have a couple of different brands, but their flagship brand is very high-end, beautiful window dressings and
Yeah.
accessories. Essentially, it's like where blinds and drapes kind of merge. Like they have blinds, but they want them to be beautiful, so they like put all sorts of fancy materials on them and stuff.
Nice.
And that was pretty impressive. And then they had this display for this new product that they have coming out, I think in the spring, that has LED lights inside the blinds with mylar on the other side. And they like very carefully worked out how these materials work so that you can turn the lights on inside the blinds and the light permeates through the material the way that it would with the way that natural light would come through
Yeah.
drapes. And so they have all sorts of different materials and they can have all sorts of different sort of warmths and
Like
coolness to the
settings.
lighting so that
Yeah.
you can be like, I have my windows closed and I'm going to set this to be like a rainy day outside. So it's like kind of cool and blue and overcast
Hmm.
coming through, but it doesn't have to be actually what the conditions are outside. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is like actually,
That's a game changer.
that's, it seemed extremely cool. I mean, like, if you have the means to have that type of thing,
Hmm.
it's not just a silly thing to have in there to show off. Like I was like, that's actually would be awesome to be able to manage your environment that way and have
Yeah,
it suit
totally.
your mood and um, suit your needs and still be beautiful with the blinds closed. So
Yeah, that's super
that
cool.
impressed me. I was like, okay, now I have to figure out how to be rich. I don't know. I don't have a plan yet. That's still
Well, you just became director, so.
TBD. I mean, help. That helps, but I'm still not making that Hunter Douglas money. So
Oh my goodness. Yeah, well, I think that type of tech is impressive, and it will be a game changer, especially like for up north, with the weather and winter. And I think I didn't think that would be a thing, and look at that now. Technology just
mhm,
advancing, helping
yeah.
with people's seasonal changes.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Lighting as a wellness solution is definitely something I heard from a lot of people. They do a
Yeah.
lot of lighting for kind of convenience and comfort, but hearing the wellness um, aspect kind of woven in and maybe moved up the priority list a little bit was
Mhm.
was a trend that I noticed for sure. And then the sort of pinnacle of that I think is this super fancy. I think it's called Aura product that's coming
Nice.
out in a couple months.
Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Chris, for giving us some insights into your moderated panel and some of the things that you saw on the show floor. Give our audience your Twitter handle that they should already have on their notes.
Right. So if you're not following me and Rosie from your love of this podcast, also as hosts, then also please follow me as your favorite guest at C White Insights on Twitter. Look me up on LinkedIn. You can put director in there now in your search
Oh
if you
yeah,
want
shoot them a
to, right?
congrats
Some fancy
message.
like that now. Yeah, thanks. And Rosie, thanks for doing this. I think the audience will really benefit to hear a bunch of different perspectives from CEDIA.
Awesome, love it. Thank you, Chris.
All right, bye, Rosie.
Bye. All right, everyone. Okay, so for our second interview, we are going to chat with Parks Associates President and CMO, Elizabeth Parks. Hi, Elizabeth. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks, Rosie. I'm glad to be here.
Good. Thank you for joining us. So, Chris and I were just talking a little bit about his experience at the CEDIA Expo here in Dallas. That didn't happen too long ago. So, I know that you attended some of the days that the session was going on, the expo was going on. So, can you give us a little bit of insights on your experience at CEDIA Expo this year, and then I have a couple more questions after.
Yeah, absolutely. So it was great that CEDIA was hosted in Dallas in our backyard, made it very easy for our team to get there. They had a really, really good turnout this year, especially compared to last year, which was in the middle of the virus coming back around. So it was a big reminder, I think, of the luxury market and how much CEDIA represents. As Chris was noting, the really expensive and well done systems that go into homes, creating these like ultimate experiences, whether it's on the entertainment side or the comfort side. So um, that really stood out to me, just a reminder of the market segment that we're talking about, which really is the uber luxury market. Not just the wealthy people; it's the very, very wealthy people buying
Mhm.
some of this stuff. So clearly, smart home becoming part of the experience within high end entertainment, and great to see those different ecosystems really connecting. So the fact that energy management was all over the place, we're seeing a lot of the home security types of technology, and certainly lighting, as Chris was noting, big play there, and lots of motorized window shades. Also, the kitchen and bath having Kohler on the floor, I think was a first at CEDIA, or a first that I really took note. And they had a big banner, at the top of the ceiling. So, water is becoming a really important part of the conversation as well. And I think that's at the really early stages, but lots of implications there with companies like, Kohler and Moen, participating in events like these.
Amazing. So give us a little bit of, your main takeaways if you were able to attend any of the sessions that were going on throughout, your time that you were there, and maybe some other new technology that you're excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the labor issues and the supply chain issues, I think, are still very much top of mind. Lots of conversations in understanding how companies are diversifying their supply chains and also changing their operations to fit, when the products become available, and that means, really the workflow is changing. So, also, of course, the home builder environment and the housing market and the implications there with home builders who will be, really working hard to ensure that this high-end tech is in the home and that those options are there for consumers. As far as technology, I mean, Matter was the big darling of the show conversation. Everybody is talking about the impact of Matter, and I think there's a lot of rah-rah going on in the industry, which is great, and we are a big supporter of that initiative, this idea that 300-ish or more engineers can come together and really come up for a solution with products being able to talk to each other. So I think there's a lot more to come there, and probably some challenges and obstacles that we'll see along the way, but lots of great announcements. And so I would definitely say, as far as tech goes, Matter was a big one. And then all of the video analytics, anything that can get put into a camera that can tell you more about the environment and the information, I think was everywhere. And that's what we've been seeing recently this year, is that artificial intelligence and machine learning, predictive, proactive types of things being able to happen as a result of that kind of tech.
Wow, amazing. Yeah, I think interoperability is going to be a major factor when it comes to all of the technology, even if it's for, the luxury type of consumer. Okay, well, those are really great insights. I feel like our audience got a lot of info there. Please tell our listeners where they can find you on social media. Please plug your LinkedIn newsletter that you post daily as well. I feel like our audience would love to subscribe.
Yeah, awesome. So I'm on Twitter. I think I'm Eliz Parks on Twitter. I love LinkedIn, so I'm very active there. Elizabeth Parks, if you look me up, with Parks Associates. And I do help release the Connected Consumer newsletter, which is featuring all of Parks Associates research work from our vast library of proprietary data. So anybody who wants to follow our work, I encourage you to check that out, as well as the newsletter that Rosey works on, Parks Points, coming from our more corporate account. So thanks for letting me highlight those and for any support.
Thank you so much. And one last thing, actually, before you leave, give our audience an insight on anything that we have coming up soon here at Parks Associates.
Sure. We are, we're very excited. We just announced some plans for CES, our Connection Summit at CES. We had a press release out today. If you're interested in speaking at that event, please check out our website. And we're also launching a new event called Smart Spaces, which ties really greatly into the CEDIA show. This is the multifamily space, looking at apartments and hospitality, the role of personalized solutions as it as consumers move from one environment to the next, and what that's going to look like in the future. So that'll be in April in Dallas, and we have some virtual sessions coming up next month as well, featuring the Smart Spaces event.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Elizabeth. And listeners, I'll make sure to add that to your show notes. Thanks, Elizabeth, again.
Thanks, Rosey, for all you do.
Thank you. All right, connected consumers. One last interview for this CEDIA Expo recap. Today, for the last, but certainly not least, guest, we're going to have Mindi Sue, who is our VP of Marketing. Hi, Mindi Sue, how are you?
Hi, Rosey. Thanks again for having me today.
Of course. Thank you for joining us. We're so excited to have you back. It's been a while since you've joined the podcast. So I'm excited to dive into some of the things that you experienced at CEDIA Expo this year. So give us a quick little overview of your experience. I think you attended one day. So tell us a little bit about your experience, some of the things that you saw, and yeah.
So anytime I can get out of the office and go to a trade show, a conference, I really look forward to those opportunities. And Friday, September 30th, I had the opportunity to attend the Women in Consumer Technology Luncheon that was taking place at CEDIA. I think that was their 14th year. And so I was able to attend part of that event, and really just any chance that you can get an industry together to celebrate women is really wonderful. And then, of course, there's fun door prizes at the end. So everybody goes away really happy. So loved that event. I also got to go into the trade show floor and was very privileged to meet with some of the executives from NICE. And they had the best t-shirts, by the way.
Amazing.
Big shout out to them. Maybe I'll throw in a picture of me wearing their t-shirt when we do the video recap. But, what's interesting is, you go to these booths, everybody's proud to walk you through their products and their services and what their products can really do. And so for the NICE booth, they built this whole connected home. I was there probably for about 25 minutes and walking you through all the security features, the sound system, really when you go outside, what's considered outside, and there's music playing that doesn't even look like they're real speakers.
Wow.
So the technology that is available nowadays is just amazing. It makes you don't even have to leave your home anymore. You can really do everything from a platform window where you can check your air quality, your security, you can open your garage door opener. They really have it where everything is integrated together so much. One of the case studies that the team shared was that when they got there on that Friday morning, they could not find their lead devices that you would use at any trade show to collect leads. Well, their technology is so wonderful that they had access to find out what happened to it. And they didn't have to scroll back through 24 hours worth of footage, because their analytics will show up at certain times. So all they had to do was rewind to that specific purpose, that specific time slot, and they were able to figure out what happened. So great booth there. And then I also got to see the Ring booth, and they have so many products. If you just think that they have a doorbell, you're wrong. There are so many products. I have pictures of what I got to see there as well. And I think they also made a big announcement about their partnership with Rapid Response. So that was great.
Amazing.
Another booth I went to, which, everybody loves watching content on their TV, but when you have 137-inch LED TV right in your face and you're not at a stadium watching a sports event, that's pretty amazing that type of size and technology is now available. So I really hope my husband gets that to me for Valentine's Day.
It's coming up. Yes, I love that. Or yeah, sometime during the holidays. You're like the second person during this CEDIA recap that mentioned the giant TV. So it must have been a hot commodity throughout the show floor for sure.
I think because they were everywhere, and everybody could use a bigger and better TV. And so, yes, definitely, it was definitely something to talk about.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much for all of these insights. I feel like you gave us so many little things on the new technology that you saw, and definitely going to have to check out some of the technology at Nice and Ring, and I really want to see all of the features for that giant 128 whatever square inch TV. Mindy Sue, please tell our audience, what we have coming up next at Parks Associates, what you're excited about, and where they can find you on socials.
Well, first of all, I'm very active on Twitter. You can find me at Mindi Sue00, and Mindi is with 2 eyes, just like I have 2 eyes, no why. I'm also very active on LinkedIn, so feel free to find me at one of those platforms. I'm always happy to connect, and if you're interested in really any industry knowledge, Twitter is really the best place. I post a lot of tweets. For our upcoming events, Elizabeth mentioned we are launching our Smart Spaces event, which I'm very excited about. Anytime we launch a new event, it's like new excitement comes out because it's fresh content, fresh speakers. We've gotten a lot of excitement around the Smart Spaces industry with hotel and student housing. And really, we've already been studying senior living, but really seeing everything come together is really exciting. So Smart Spaces, our first virtual event, is November 17th. We also, again, have CES, which is the largest trade show in North America, on January 5th. We'll be back at the Venetian for 7 sessions focused on smart home, on virtual care, on electric vehicles, and plenty more. Then we'll have a networking reception that night, where we invite all of our sponsors and their guests and all of our Connection Summit guests to really just come together again. And so last year, we were really timid with what was happening because it was in the middle of a snowstorm, in the middle of COVID, but we feel like everybody's almost back to normal. So I look forward to even a bigger show this year and a bigger networking reception. We still have a couple other events coming up this year, which is Future Video in LA. We have Connections, the virtual sessions coming up October 20th and November 10th. And then we have a special Alarm.com security roundtable on October 13th. So we hope you can join us for one or even all of the upcoming events.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Mindy Sue. What a way to wrap this episode up. Thank you for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, connected consumers. If you're listening on a podcast platform, whether it's audio or a YouTube, please make sure to subscribe, submit a review, comment, you name it. And please feel free to follow us on Twitter. My Twitter ID is at Rosey Sera, and Parks Associates, we tweet various times throughout the day on our latest updates with the emerging technology world, on research and upcoming events and national holidays and everything. So please feel free to follow us at Parks Associates. Thanks again for tuning in today, and we'll see you on the next one.